The Lost Mermaid-Chapter 19, Oxygen. That was the first thing I noticed as I became aware. I inhaled, feeling life surge through me, invigorating every cell in my body. The act of breathing itself was a revelation, as if someone had ignited a flicker of hope in the bleakest of places. Like a guiding light, leading me out of the darkness and towards a new beginning. Breathe, I reminded myself, taking another breath. I heard a familiar voice. I searched for it in my mind. Emerald? It was Emerald. She was all right. I felt her stroking my arm, singing something I couldn't understand. I relaxed, knowing she was close. Where were we? I lifted my heavy eyelids. The world was blurry, but after blinking, it sharpened into focus. I was inside something clear as glass, and I could tell we were moving under the sea. Lifting my head, I looked around. To my left, Emerald smiled, patting my shoulder to comfort me. There were others beside me, too. Other mermaids. The mermaids were singing a melody. The enchanting music curled around me, melting my anxious feelings. I felt the tightness in my chest relax. Glancing around, I discovered I was in a glassy bubble, partitioned into 4 separate rooms. Most of the rooms were completely filled with water, but the top chamber, where I was only partially underwater, allowing my head and torso to break the surface, while my tail stayed submerged. My body tensed as I caught the sight of a colossal gray whale towing our vessel ahead, with seaweed strung between us, clinging to its broad back. I was surprised I could actually feel the force of its pull. The water was lit with dozens of translucent orbs pulled by more whales. The spheres gleamed like azure flames, emitting a gentle hue of turquoise blue. Beyond the whales, pulling the orbs, were mother whales and their calves traveling in the same direction. It was surreal to see the behemoths traveling so close. Merman handlers and dolphins seemed to be guiding them and the colony. As the enchanting song came to an end, I lay in the tranquility of my chamber, while the maidens dove under the water, vanishing from sight. Emerald asked, "Art thou thirsty?" I managed to utter a feeble yes, and she handed me a water skin. As I drank from it, I felt a wave of relief as the cool, fresh water quenched my parched throat. "Are you okay, Emerald?" "I'm feeling better, although still weak. The sea is doing wonders to revive me," she said, her gaze drifting away momentarily. "Julie, I want to express my gratitude. Without your help, I fear I would have perished." "We are lucky your people found us," I replied. "They're the ones we should thank. They saved us." Emerald smiled, and I handed her back the water skin and slowly sat up. I felt lightheaded. She placed something in my hand, a golden flower, shiny and warm, with little honeycomb-shaped petals that fit together like a puzzle. "'Tis Mermena. It will replenish thee." As I savored it, I found it to be surprisingly filling and delicious. Its sweetness and tanginess reminded me of lemon bars, my favorite dessert. As I ate, I felt my lightheadedness fade away and my strength return. Emerald asked, "Can thou swim?" "I think so," I said. She helped me up. "Come." I surveyed my surroundings, searching for any signs of doors or windows, but there were none in sight. Following Emerald's lead, I dived below the surface and followed her into a watery chamber, accessed through a flap in the floor. "Come see our dwelling," she said with a lilting voice, filling me with a sense of warmth. I nodded. As I ran my hand along the wall, I realized that it was not made of glass, but rather of thick, transparent, gelatinous material. The greenish-tinted walls felt both thick and flexible to the touch. As we floated through the ocean, the walls of the orb contorted and undulated with the ocean's currents. "Each room is designed to honor one of the 4 pillars of Jelliphon," she said. "What is that?" "'Tis how we worship Alwelda." We swam into the first chamber, which was filled with sea wraps, headpieces, and jewelry. Emerald explained, We are in the dressing room where we prepare ourselves for the sea. This place honors the first pillar, that of putting on the armor of Allwelda. We desire to be strong and able to stand against the wiles of the gudgeon. Who is that? 'Tis the adversary of Allwelda. You mean Satan or Lucifer? She nodded. Aye, the gudgeon is the great deceiver. He inspires sirens and vile creatures with his darkness. We must always be prepared for battle and never be caught unawares. I see. She continued. Befitting our jewelry reminds us of our daily warfare rituals. Thou will require earrings, a necklace, and armbands. At thy command, they shall transform into a helmet, breastplate, and weapons. The armbands and bracelets, when wielded properly, are spears, swords, daggers, crossbows, and arrows. The room was encased completely in seaweed, providing privacy for dressing. A turquoise and gold shell full of adornments in the colors of the sunset rested in the walled interior. I peered closer to see a vast assortment of finery available. Emerald swam to my side, gesturing to select some jewelry. Choose a necklace and earrings for thy defense. I pulled a winged pendant from the wall, placing it over my neck. How was this supposed to protect me? Emerald nodded her approval. That breastplate will protect thee well. Also, choose earrings for thy helmet. Really? I put on earrings and twisted them. Instantly, a helmet encased my face, fitted perfectly to my form. I laughed, my voice muffled by the metal. Wow, this is amazing. Choose some weapons as well, she insisted. There were silver, copper, and golden armbands, bracelets made of shells, and spiraled tailbands. I twisted the earrings back so I could see my choices. Eventually, I settled on 2 matching cylindrical armbands. How is this a weapon? I asked. When thou take them off and twist them, the metal will stretch and convert into a crossbow and arrows. I frowned, concerned. I hope I don't have to use these. She looked sad. The sea is a wondrous yet dangerous place. 'Tis much like the spiritual world in that way. One must always be prepared. She handed me an empty satchel, nodding, then beckoned me on. We swam through a flap in the wall into the second chamber. Within, there were seaweed pods woven into the walls, swaying as the orb glided through the ocean. This room is where we restore ourselves. It honors the second pillar, that of our duty to care for all creation, especially our bodies as wise stewards. This is where you sleep, isn't it? I guessed. Aye, Emerald said, in the husk. I wondered what it would be like to sleep in the vertical shell-like vessel. They honestly looked a little scary, but I didn't have time to think about it. She swam further through the globe into another chamber. The third room, at the top of the orb, had a large pocket of air. Our heads arose from the water. I saw musical instruments, kitchen utensils, and glowing mermena. This is where we dine, sing, and make merry. This chamber honors the third pillar, that of using Allwelda's creations for wonder and joy. Emerald continued, Since thou have no gills, thou shalt sleep here tonight, as this is the only air chamber. Thank you, I said. As amazing as the tiara was, nothing could beat breathing fresh air. Fill thy satchel with mermena. We will not be back for yet a while. The last chamber is our sacred room. We offer our prayers to the divine, so we may connect to the Mother of Heaven, she explained. Before I embark each day, I go there to pray. This last chamber honors the fourth pillar, that of receiving guidance from Allwelda. I see, I said. Now, Julie, wait for me here, please, as I need to be alone to pray. Sure. Can I go into the sacred chamber after you? She nodded and dove below, leaving me alone. While I waited, I filled my satchel with mermena. I remember talking to Mom about how she prayed and listened to God. I had so many holes in my heart. I hoped I could follow her example and feel God's love for me. I felt like such a weak and broken person. Sometimes, Life seemed bleak to me, and I wondered if anything good would ever happen in my future. But then again, this was pretty incredible. I was in the ocean with mermaids. Maybe I did have a bright future ahead. I could hear Emerald singing something and wondered what her prayers were like. I smiled. So much to learn. Soon it was silent, so I waited a moment, then looked through the door flap to see if she was gone. The sacred room was empty. Although the room was bare, it was beautiful nonetheless. The walls were clear, except for the seaweed flowing around the globe, so I enjoyed the ocean view for a moment as we glided, watching the wondrous whales. Praying, I closed my eyes, bowed my head, and folded my arms, as I always had since I was a little girl. But it felt strange and different since I wasn't kneeling on the floor, but floating in the aqueous space. Dear Heavenly Father, I am thankful to be here. I can't believe I'm with Emerald. I had no idea thy creations were so amazing. I thank thee for allowing me to come here. Father, I know my family is probably worried. They are so hard to live with, but I don't want them to be stressed and concerned. Please bless them, and please guide me as I try to find my way. Father, please bless Jared won't get in trouble. He was such a blessing. I couldn't have rescued Emerald without him. Father, does thou care about me? I waited and listened. The vessel jiggled and jostled. I bounced and bobbed around, floating in the water which felt odd and out of place to me. My hair drifted into my face. Thoughts kept bouncing into my mind, and I thought I heard a whale song. Of course, I heard a whale cry. There were whales all around us. Oh, well, I didn't hear a heavenly voice, so I closed my prayer and swam out to find Emerald. She had gone into the armor room and was turned away from me, filling her pouch with glowing blossoms. Emerald? I swam up behind her as she turned around. Art thou finished? I nodded. She handed me a pouch of mermena and slipped another bracelet onto herself. Holding my arm, she made sure I was looking into her eyes. Julie, remember this. Thou art safe with the whales and merfolk, but never leave the pod alone. Always have a companion if I'm not with you. Take mermena with thee, and if thou hum or sing, it shall activate the pearls and make thee invisible. There are dangerous creatures in the great Siwa, but if thou sing, thou can avoid them. Do not forget. I'll remember. Are all orbs like this? I asked. Similar, she nodded. She led me out the orb's entrance flap into the wide, deep blue sea. I was so excited. She was going to show me her world. I asked, "Where are we going?" Emerald made no noise but pointed in response. I could see a small, murky shadow in the distance. A thrill of excitement rose in me. I was going to meet the mermaid pod. I held back a squeal and swam beside her, trying to look regal and poised. As we got closer, I heard the bubbly laughs of children playing, and the gentle voices of mingling merfolk. Massive gray whales surrounded the mermaids in a protective barrier to the ocean. The whales patrolled in a circular rotation as they scooped sand from the ocean floor. It appeared they were feeding on clams, crabs, and crustaceans. The women wore tiaras like the one Emerald and I wore, glistening with mermaid tears. Their tails were sleeker than the men's. The mermen were long-finned and muscular, with fins coming out of their tails in a jagged, warrior-like fashion. They wore armor made from bones, shells, and seaweed. A merman and a merboy spotted us. I heard their cry as they rushed toward us with astonishing speed. I gave a little cry of fear, flinching away. I was an outsider, and I wasn't sure how they would react to me. They swarmed Emerald, joyously welcoming her home. After greeting her, the merman turned to me. "Okay, yeah. I have not met thee before. What is thy name?" "I'm Julie," I said nervously. The gray-finned merman smiled at the sound of my voice as the merboy looked up at me. "Thou sound like a landwalker," the merman said. "I am," I stammered. Was that bad? I am Kai, and this is my little brother Suede. Hello there. Okay. My uncertain response to their greeting made them smile. Many thanks for bringing Emerald home. They bowed their heads. I wasn't sure what to make of it all. Thanks. You're welcome, I stuttered. Where is Cohen? Emerald asked the merman. Is he yet alive? I am eager to find him. He has returned from patrolling, said Kai. Emerald's face lit up with joy. Oh, joyful day. I must find him. She looked at me as if to say, Can I go? I gestured her away. Emerald left, swimming in the direction of a cluster of merfolk. A shout of joy erupted from the crowd. A handsome, rust-finned merman broke out of the group, speeding toward her. Emerald swam to meet him, joy shining in her eyes. Cohen. He caught her up in a swirl of bubbles, spinning her around. They held each other for a long time, breathing each other in. It seemed I was looking at something too intimate, even though all they did was embrace. I shuddered, feeling my heart wish someone would look at me that way. How wonderful it must feel to be reunited with one's love. How I longed for a wonderful man in my life. Emerald cried, I lost thee. What happened? He asked. 'Tis a long story. I have much to tell. She floated over to me, introducing me to her beloved, who thanked me profusely. I stuttered some more. Then she asked, Julie, will thou be all right if I leave? Of course. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I watched as they swam beyond the coral reef, holding hands, laughing, and chatting. Once they disappeared, I noticed Suede and a gathering of smaller children around me, staring. Who are thee? One of them asked, touching my fin. Mine looked different from their fine fins, more webbed and less sleek. This is Julie, said Suede. I nodded. Yes, my name is Julie Johansson. When they heard me speak, they gasped and laughed. Thou are a landwalker. Thou speak like one. I felt self-conscious at yet another reference to my accent, but the children seemed to enjoy hearing it. Suede encircled me curiously and blurted out, Thou look like Heather? No, she looks like me, another argued, doing flips to show off her ombre turquoise purple tail. Heather, I thought. I've heard that name, but where? Suede said, I will be right back. Leaving me with the children, he swam off. I smiled nervously as they bombarded me with questions, trying my best to keep up with them all. Suede returned with a beautiful mermaid by his side. As they swam up to me, I was shocked at the resemblance we shared. We both had the same tiny freckles, the same wild red hair, and the same hazel eyes. The only difference was, she looked older than me. In a flash, I remembered where I had heard her name before. My dad's sister was alive.